Welcome to Indigenous Earth. I'm your host, Frank Oscar Weaver, from the Paita of Tira of Paraguay. What does it mean to stand on the shoulder of your ancestors, to feel that deep connection to the people that came before you, and hear their calling to protect the land that you are in? Today, I'm honored to sit down with Nana Kwesi Osei Bonsu, a 7th generation descendant of King Osei Tutu, founder of the Ashanti Empire. He's going to share with us his powerful story of resilience and spiritual connection, from his childhood to Ghana to becoming a fierce advocate for environmental justice and indigenous lands' rights. This episode is also going to be available on YouTube, so if you want to see our conversation, I'll put the link on the show notes. We're going to be talking about the connections that we have to our sacred places, the role of ancestral wisdom to guide us, and preserving our heritage and the places that we belong to. If you enjoy any of these topics, I know you would enjoy this episode.
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be talking to you. I've been following all the great things that you've been doing, supporting indigenous people in your home country. And do you mind just kind of sharing with us a little bit about your name and where you come from?
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure. My name is Nana Kwesi Osei Bonsu. Yeah, I just wanted to take my time, and each of these names represent my true cultural identity. Nana in my culture represents the royal nobility. Kwesi, it's a Sunday male boy child born from the Akan ethnic group. And if you Google, Akan is a larger ethnic group which is found within the western part of Africa. So Osei also, it's the name of my great great grandfather, King Osei Tutu, who founded the Ashanti Empire. And the last name, Bonsu, is the name of my family, my father's name. And genealogically, each and every person have their father's surname. So my name is Nana Osei Bonsu, and I hail from the ancient Ashanti Empire as a seventh generational descendant of King Osei Tutu the First.
Awesome. So tell me, how was growing up? Like how was the world around you?
That's a really interesting question. I grew up in Ghana, in the heart of Ghana, and I was fortunate to be from a very good home with a flourishing family business. But my parents were Muslims, even though they weren't born into Islam, but they also converted to Islam. I kind of have like a strict culture, growing up as a child. But then in my teenage, that was around 14 years old, I had this spiritual calling by to lead my ancestors. And my mother, like our heritage, is through our maternal lineage. That's my mom's lineage. I had this dream that my ancestors, that I didn't even recognize their faces, but I could feel it that, yeah, they were talking to me and they called up me and told me that it's about time to lead my people to the promised land. And ever since then, I started having discernments. So my uncle came for me that in the same time, and then he also had struggled with stroke and coma for 12 years. So when he actually stood up from this sickness, that was when he came and then picked me up and then started teaching me about my heritage. And I wasn't born in the Ashanti region. I was born in the capital city. So I started learning about my community's heritage right from the teenage stage. And that was the beginning of my work. And also, finally, I've been able to lead my community as ordained. So growing up was really challenging because mixing Islam and then with cultural heritage, it was really tough because my parents actually, I will tell you that when I renounced my allegiance to Islam, I really was stigmatized because, I really feel like that was not who I am. That is taking the culture of the Arabs, but I really wanted to preserve my true cultural identity. So I also gazetted my name, which was actually my true cultural identity, called the Nana Kwesi Osei Bonsu. So it has been like a tough time. I'm currently writing a book, and I will disclose more about my life child stories in it, which is called The Echoes of Ancestry.
Wow, I can't wait to read the book because what you have told me so far is very exciting. And those teachings that you receive from the ancestors, from your uncle, that is part of your deep culture that you have, your lineage. Is there any teachings there that you have heard that is about the environment, that is about protecting the earth?
That's a great question. Our community has always been accustomed to preserving our culture and also preserving the biodiversity, rich biodiversity. Our community's land in Kumasi near the KNUST University, and it's a pocket of land which is developed by 40%, and 60% of this land has been preserved. And this is why we are still fighting to make sure that our ancestral legacy is preserved. This contains sacred sites and also water bodies, and then nature's reserve. And these are places that we really revered as sanctified. So I've been always fighting to protect these sacred sites from unwanted development and encroachment, which is spearheaded by the Kumasi Traditional Council and also these corporate excesses. So what I've learned in is that these are places that really has our ancestral burial grounds, and these are holy places to us. So we have been always advocating for preserving our ecological sites because it's in line with climate justice. And we are the stewards of the ecology. So I believe we are very strong commitments to protecting the environment.
For sure, indigenous people have a really deep relationship with the places that they live in, and this knowledge that has been passed down through generations makes it very valuable to know how we can help promote keeping our earth protected. And from those places that you say that there's a reserve, the water bodies, is there like a favorite place that you enjoy going to that kind of brought you peace, that brought you joy to visit?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are several numerous places, particularly the burial grounds of my maternal ancestor, and that is the revered spouse of Kinosei Tutu. And her name is Wahi Echama Tutua. That is the female of Tutu, is Tutua. And when I go to this place and I pour libation, he gives me so much discernment. He comes in my dreams. He teaches me knowledge which I wasn't fortunate to learn from my immediate family. And these are places that I revered so sacred. And they have also a place where the daughter of Osei Tutu, that is Konedu Efia Ofi. That is the beloved daughter of the king, and that is the progenitor of our indigenous community. When I go to these particular places, I have so much, my spirit, it's so much filled, and I had tears because I received so much discernment. And these are places that we want to preserve for generations to come because we hold those places so dear to us.
That is amazing that you have such a spiritual connection to these places that you want to protect. And did you always have that calling to protect these places? Or did it come to you? Did something happen that you're like, you know what? I need to start protecting these places before they're gone?
Yeah, it started when I renounced my allegiance to the Islam, and my I had this calling, and therein once in every time during that time I had dreams, and most of these dreams are like people that I don't really know. Some of them come appear in the form of old, elderly people with white beard, and then talking to me, sitting me down, and then teaching me about what we are, who we are. And I'll tell you a little bit about our lineage. The founder, the Osei Tutu of the Ashanti Empire, he left a will which was engraved on a clay tablet, and he signed his will with his blood. And the will was that his children should get marriage from to intermarriage to preserve the lineage, and if they are able to give birth from the generations to 10 children, the prophecy will be fulfilled. And actually, it also came to pass. My grandfather and my grandmother, they are from the same lineage. That is like the third generation's son, giving his son to marry his niece daughter to breed his 10 children. So my mom come from like a family of 10, and she also gave birth to 10 children. So just to preserve that. And these are what really binds us together, because it's so powerful that we have been able to preserve this, and we have the family tree which was prepared under the supervision of the Opoku Nana Otumfo Opokuware II. He was the 15th Asante Hene, who was also called by the ancestors to preserve these records down for generations to come. So this legacy has always been living on, and I feel so much proud, even though sometimes I face fear and persecution, because my family actually has been silenced just because we are trying to protect this birthright from external forces. And it hasn't been easy, but when I always get down, I have these dreams which uplift me up, and they tell me that I should not stop. I should keep on going and fighting, because they are with me wherever I go.
That's such a powerful story, and I'm so happy that you're here sharing with us. And this connection that your family had for many years to the land is so strong, that you have it, and then you're looking to protect it. And has it been easy? Have you had hard times to protect this place?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's really hasn't been an easy, smooth path for me, but I always see it's a slow progress, because I'm feeling like there is more awareness creating now. Initially, it was disparagement, persecution, and until I fled my homeland, because I stood up and speak up against oppressive regimes, who are not even politicians or government officials, but fiduciaries. And it came at a cost. I had to flee because I was tortured in police custody for 6 days for standing up to protect my ancestral rights and my economic right as well. And I didn't let my dreams die. We have won human rights judgments against the Ghana Police Service and the Attorney General's Department. We have won judgments which assets our allodial ownership rights. And you know, when I talk about allodial, this is an inherent right of indigenous people, because it's right that has absolute ownership control and is not subject to any proprietary obligations. But all these, upon all the laws that the government of Ghana had made, we still face resistance from these oppressive forces. And to tell you a few, there has been also people that have gone missing from the public offices, from the Ghana Lands Commission. There is a lady who published our community's ownership right called Rodalyn Amwadakon. She went disappeared under mysterious circumstances, and up to now, her whereabouts has not been found. And these are incidents that really put fear and panic in my people, and it makes them kind of scared to come out really in their numbers boldly, like what I'm doing, to speak up and also to fight to protect this lineage because of what has happened before. My uncle, for example, who is the head of our indigenous community, He was tortured so brutally, was abducted by the police force in Ghana, taken to the Menchia Palace, and tortured and humiliated with no charge, with no caution. And just after they just left him, and they threatened him that he should stop protecting our heritage, like what I'm doing. So he is actually incapacitated as I speak. So I'm the only strong one who is fighting to protect this lineage and pass, which was passed down from generations. And our history has been documented in the traditional archives. It has been chronicled in national newspapers. Our family tree was prepared under the supervision of the occupant of the Ashanti Golden Stool in the person of Otumfuo Nana Opokuwari II. And he passed it on to the family shortly. He passed away. It was said that legend said that he was tormented by the ancestors to prepare the records which was preserved. But it hasn't been easy for me, particularly bringing this to the world, because it is a story which it's untold. A few people really have this knowledge. They know that we are descendants of Osei Tutu, but our ancestral lines, which holds these tales, has been always been dispossessed, particularly not having absolute right to control our lands, pursuant to the Ghana's Constitution and the Land Act 2020, which validates our rights and ownership, because we've been using legal frameworks which is enacted by the government to enforce our rights. But yet still we face this resistance, which is it's very sad that it's happening, particularly in the beacon of Africa's democracy, Ghana.
Wow, it's very powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. It's something that indigenous people are facing all over the world. That they're losing their lands, they're losing these pieces that is more than just a territory. Is their spiritual place, like you mentioned, is their place where they get their livelihood, and it's happening everywhere, and people are standing up and they're feeling it, and I appreciate you sharing your powerful story. And do you see that that's the case, that indigenous people are losing a lot of the traditional lands in your area and in Africa?
Yeah, it's much more or less like a global phenomenon now. In my country, it's very precarious, particularly in Ashanti region, because there is this powerful interest. Particularly, if I speak of this, I will not forget about the Kumasi Traditional Council, who has been always terrorizing indigenous people over their ancestral lands. And the government has seems to be paralyzed, even though there's a consolidated land law which outline the ownership and usage of lands, but that most of these indigenous lands has not been documented, even though they have their oral history, which is verifiable, but they hasn't documented or translated it into written forms. So these powerful interests take advantage of these situations, weaponize tradition against their own people. And this is really sad story in particularly in Ghana's Ashanti region. Like our case, there are similar people, indigenous people who has been silenced, who don't even know how and where to actually start from by protecting their lands. Fortunately, I was granted a humanitarian parole in 2023 by the United States Department of Homeland Security after they had found me with a credible fear of persecution and torture when I fled my home. So I didn't let my dream die. I founded an organization called Land Rights Defenders. It's an indigenous 501c nonprofit, which is approved by the IRS. And our main goal is to fight and to protect our ancestral lands as an inspiration and other people who are going through similar situation like ours in Ghana and beyond. And this is our inspiration. This is what really inspires me, just because of my community's heritage, to advocate for others who are similarly being persecuted.
Well, that's amazing that you have initiated this nonprofit. to really promote the interests that you have within yourself and your story, but also for other people that you see that are losing their land. And do you feel like indigenous people, with their background, their traditions, they have maybe a secret weapon to come together to be able to fight for their lands?
Yes, there is so much powerful weapons. For instance, anytime I perform my traditional religion, what is that is pour libation and call on my ancestors, instantly I receive interventions, and this comes very divine. And we hold our ancestors as prophets. We pray through our ancestors. And I believe that that is our key. For instance, our rituals that we practice or that really has been passed down from generations. These are like rituals that when we call upon our ancestors, they they're always closer to us, and this is our key. But when they begin to destroy our sacred lands and the places where we have these ties bonded, it really affects us. It affects our spirituality. It affects our way of life, and particularly with our river bodies, which is currently being desecrated and with encroachment. It's really the only pains that really can never be forgiven, because that is like taking us, our soul from our bodies, because that is a tied, bonded thing that cannot be separated. So we have powerful weapons that I believe it's really working, and they are living beings who are always living with us wherever we go. They are with us.
Yeah, for sure. This is beautiful spoken. So thank you. And let's say that somebody that's listening to this podcast right now, and they feel the strength of their ancestors with them, but they don't know how to connect with that powerful force that all of us have, that is our lineage and the people that we have it. What tips do you have for people to connect with their ancestors?
Well, in Ghana, I'll make an example. Every family that has like a royal, come from royal nobility, they have a secret. In our family, there is this deity called Efia Ofi, and this deity is found in Ashanti Empire. And this was the covenant that my maternal ancestor made before she was able to conceive a child for the king, Osei Tutu. And the same way, King Osei Tutu, his mother had went to consult a deity who actually gave them the ancestral, the celestial tapestry that brought Osei to the world. So when we revere and go and call and invoke these names and call on our ancestors, it is a key to unlocking the divine world from receiving us and also making our wishes heard. Because for instance, in our community, this is a very powerful deity. Wherever that we are, they protect us. She is actually, she's a female deity, so she has a lot of children, and one of his dear children is Osei Tutu's daughter, who is the progenitor of our community, called Efia Ofi. So, in according to our history, my great maternal ancestor, after she had made a promise and vow to the deity, she named the daughter after the deity, called Efia Ofi, to preserve the heritage, to preserve the historical antecedents for generations to come. And the same way applies to my great great grandfather, the founder of the empire. His mother was also similarly barren, and he went to consult a deity called Otutu. And this Otutu is a powerful deity in the stream of Kakaure in the eastern region of Ghana. And she also made a solemn vow. And then after the divine intervention happened, he was able to conceive. He named Osei Tutu after this goddess called Otutu. So there is this powerful spiritual and ancestral omen which governs us, which always sees beyond what lies ahead. So They guide us in whatever we do, and they talk to us, they communicate with us whenever we are in our sleep. They come to us, and these are like secrets which was passed down, but some people, some indigenous people, have not been fortunate to know their roots and know what really happened before their ancestors really gave, the legacy was passed down. So these are weapons that I encourage indigenous people to dig in and find out, because African traditional religion lies on some of these, especially in our ancestral world. They are always alive because these are secrets which was passed down, but it is not only shared with like people outside, it's only shared with people within. Yeah, so most of them has been preserved for generations to come. So if you dig into your family or your indigenous community, they are going to tell you, particularly in my case, it was passed down and I went ahead, and yeah, it was validated because my uncle took me through a series of knowledge education to show me where actually my ancestors, what happened before we actually came into this world. It's going to be part of my book, because I've begun this project, and this is going to inspire many generations to come to cultivate the spirit of resilience and perseverance.
Wow. Perseverance and resilience. I love that. And that kind of ties into environmental justice, right? I know that you've been doing a lot of work on that. Can you tell a little more about what environmental justice means to you?
Environmental justice, to me, it's our future, because when the planet is desecrated, when the water bodies are destroyed, there is no longer going to be um, there's no longer going to be life on this planet, because there's a saying, when the last tree dies, the last human being also passes on, because we are all connected to one web of love, and the love is preserving nature. And when nature is preserved, so as human dignity and human life will be preserved also. So environmental justice, it's more like the essence of our beings, the essence of life, because that is who we are and what we are connected to. Let's make a scenario with this paper money and everything. It's just like a combination of materials which is from the earth. So for instance, if there is no tree, where are we going to get the money? Where are we going to get all that we are fighting for if we destroy all that is really what we are? So it's like destroying our own bodies. So environmental justice is deeply intrinsic. It's something that is tied to our survival, our reason for survival.
Yeah. Um, one second here. I kind of hear something on the background.
Yeah, there was a call coming in because I was using my phone to do this recording.
Ah, okay. No problem. Let me see here. And what do you think that people can do to help the planet?
What we can do to help the planet is to continuously advocating for preservation of culture, and particularly to support indigenous knowledge and indigenous wisdom, because indigenous people are the stewards of the planet. And if we should forget about indigenous people and go on with conventional science, it's actually degrading, and it's really deteriorating the earth. And you know that the earth is our mother. That is all that we have. So if we don't preserve indigenous knowledge and preserve indigenous people's fight to preserve their legacy, to preserve the earth, then we are really going to be doomed. The whole world is going to be doomed. So that is the knowledge that I want to share. And if people want to support, they can support land right defenders to promote their mission globally, and also support our book project, which is currently in process. We have a taster for the book, and we could share the book taster to your platform, and we can have a link attached that people can read about just a tidbit of what the book is about. So I encourage everyone to support indigenous knowledge, indigenous wisdom, and promote indigenous cultures throughout the world.
Awesome. I love that. And can you tell me where we can connect with you and your platform and your nonprofit?
Thank you. You can Google us on the internet, Land Rights Defenders Inc., and we are on Google, and we are on all the social media handles with the name Land Rights with an SINC. And if you want to contact me personally, my email is Nana NA Land Rights Defenders.org. .org. The rights is a plural form, and the defenders, as you know, is a plural. So Nana NANA at Land Rights Defenders. And if they want to contact also us on the telephone, our official number, it's, I repeat again, 61. So you can Google us, call us, email us, and read more about land right defenders, because we have been writing articles almost every month on the various organizations, in collaborations with various organizations. You can check us on, so follow us on our social media to learn more about our mission.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put all those links and phone numbers and emails on the show descriptions so people can connect with you. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, sharing about your lineage, sharing about the Kaudi ancestors. And I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing to preserve those traditional places in Ghana and all over the world. So thank you again for being here. And I look forward to connecting with you again.
All right. Thank you for having me. God bless you.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I really appreciate you being here with us. If you are interested in helping us to make our podcast even better, there is a survey that you can take. It's very short at indigenous.org/survey that it will let us know how we can improve and how we can make these episodes and our podcast better for you. So thank you so much for listening. Aguje. Hey,